Hello and welcome to coverage of GP Portland. I'm Marshall Sutcliffe in the booth with Jacob Van Leunen. It's a great hat there. We've got Brian Weller-Gordon on the left-hand side of your screen facing off against Christian Keith. And I can tell you that Brian, do we have the deck list over there yet, JVL? Can you take a look for me?
Let's see.
Those might be from the last round because this round just started up.
Oh, we do.
Okay,
All
so
right.
let's take a look. I'm going to tell you what Brian Weller-Gordon's playing. I can tell you that he's playing blue-green. You can see an Elvish Visionary on the battlefield for him here. He's playing 4 Crush of Tentacles, 3 Part the Water Veil.
Ooh.
And then he's got, a package of ramp spells, and this is Pilgrimage and Explosive Vegetation. And then some card selection with Oath of Nissa and Anticipate. He's even playing 3 copies of Send to Sleep and a Nissa's Renewal. How do you like that?
This is kind of exciting. I mean, at 7-0, I like that a lot.
Yeah.
This is a pretty exciting deck to watch. Last season we saw, or I guess it was 2 seasons ago now, we saw the Time Walk deck, the ramp Time Walk deck, which was really exciting, and I played a lot of it on Magic Online. It was quite good, but it's fallen out of favor as of late, and this seems like a really good way to reapproach that type of strategy.
Yeah, the old Crush of Tentacles deck here is something that's kind of been around for a little while, but never really has broken in, into this upper stage. But here we go.
Also, I mean, 8/8 octopus tokens. There aren't many better ways to win games than that. There's Liliana the Last Hope, the card we just talked about quite a bit.
And it's looking pretty nice here as well. And again, I think this is one of the places where Liliana really shines. Sure, she's not killing creatures, but who cares? She is on that march upwards. And yeah, you're resolving an Explosive Vegetation, but it really forces Brian Weller-Gordon to do something about that Liliana before she gets to ultimate range. And, he doesn't have a lot of ways to pressure Planeswalkers directly. It's not like he's, Elvish Visionaries and Den Protectors are okay, and he does have some nice top end with Ulamog, but, you have to get that down before she ultimates or else it's lights out.
The thing is that Brian Weller-Gordon, his deck, the whole plan is just reset. And he has all these permanents that generate some card advantage when they enter the battlefield that are kind of innocuous. Like, they don't seem like they're doing much. Cards like Oath of Nissa, cards like Elvish Visionary. But each time he casts Crush of Tentacles, he's going to get an 8/8, and then he gets that additional little bit of value.
Yeah.
And over the course of a game, that adds up quick.
Yeah, and what you can see here from Christian is he's realized that it's not entirely likely that he's going to be able to get Liliana all the way up to ultimate before a card like Crush of Tentacles is sort of the namesake for the deck, and Christian could very well be aware of that. That's what Brian's doing here if he's been keeping up on the deck list. So again, this deck not super popular, but it has been around. Crush of Tentacles returns all non-land permanents to their owner's hands, which can really reset a lot of work with a Liliana. By minusing here and even only getting back a Pilgrim's Eye for value, he punishes Brian if Brian does want to ramp out into Crush, because now he just gets to get his Liliana back and he's already got an activation out of it rather than just plussing it. So I like the play from Christian. Also, Christian's playing this Jund Delirium deck, which is similar to the black-green one that we mentioned, where they will often choose to minus it just for value rather than going for the big ultimate.
The thing is, again, though, for what it's worth, that bit of value that Christian Keith is getting, Brian Weller-Gordon, his strategy doesn't really care about that so much.
He's going over the top, huh?
Yeah, he's going, what I really like about his plan is that he's going over the top of all of these Emrakul decks. He's going over the top of everybody, because when he wants to win, he can cast Part the Water Veil with Awaken, and then on the next turn, after he attacks with that land, he casts Part the Water Veil with Awaken. Or before he attacks with the lands, so that he can attack with 2 lands, and so on and so forth. And then, he chains 2 or 3 of those together and the game ends.
Yeah. You can see he's resolving another Explosive Vegetation. And, Brian is looking at it like, well, I'm at 20, facing down a grand total of 1 power, and a Planeswalker that at 2 loyalty does not really threaten me in the near term. Grind all you want, kiddo.
Oh, yeah.
We're going upstairs.
Brian is very, very happy to sit around and play lands or cast cards that put more lands into play for him. And if his opponent is just going to let him do that, it's going to be extremely difficult for him to lose.
can see Christian kind of milling away a bunch of languishes here, which he's going to be actually quite happy, I think, to not have hanging around in his hand.
This is good.
He's just cashed in his Liliana. Uh-oh. Distended Mindbender here from Christian Keith. Now, this could be good for him, though. As it sits, he's actually only going to get one thing, and Brian's a little floody. You know, he resolved 2 explosive vegetations back to back, and he has a Den Protector that isn't getting back anything super exciting. You can see his graveyard there, so it's going to go away.
Yeah.
And he's still going to have an Oath of Nissa in his hand that he can use to dig, and then, of course, the top of his library, you know, may be friendly to him as well.
Again, he's under very little pressure. Indeed. I know it seems like he has nothing, but he has a lot of lands in play. And when you have 9 mana at this stage of the game, and you're playing this suite of cards, some really scary things can happen.
Yeah, and, you know, I mean, Ulamog. Right? I mean, and I like that by Christian. I like running out the Distended Mindbender there. He stood to really wreck Brian Weller-Gordon's day if he took away, like, his big ramp target, you know, his Ulamog or, you know, a Crush of Tentacles or whatever, plus something small.
Yeah, if he gets, like, a Den Protector and a Part the Water Veil, that's just
God.
Heaven.
Just disgusting. All right, and here's Christian now playing Ishkana, Graph Widow.
I think he was just searching for it.
Searching for an Ishkana Graph Widow. I spoke
he will be playing it quite soon, I imagine.
He's got it next turn. He's got the mana for it next turn. All right, so here's Oath of Nissa. This is a big one. Can he find something huge to play here? Well, no. No, he cannot. He found a Lumbering Falls. That is not what the doctor ordered here. And Brian Weller-Gordon.
Well, that works out pretty well for him.
Okay. Had just drawn a Den Protector for the turn, apparently. So,
yeah.
Nice. So he can start looping those. But again, you know, he doesn't have any, like, one of his bombs in his graveyard. Like, it's not like he can, you know, get back Crush or whatever. Like, he's looking at getting back maybe another Den Protector and kind of running the grind game here.
Looping Den Protectors is quite good in his deck. In a lot of other decks, it doesn't really do anything. In his deck, it means that when he casts a Crush of Tentacles, then he's going to get 2 more Den Protectors.
Oh, right. He's at 20s. Down to take a little damage here, though. 5 from the Distended Mindbender. He could block it and get back the Den Protector and just start chump looping if he, depending on how he wants to play it. And I think that Christian may have just passed the turn back actually to Brian.
Ooh, interesting. Okay,
I think he's got another Lumbering Falls up there. There you go. That one just at the top of the screen. And maybe he didn't want to trade. Seems like it would be a fine trade for you. But anyway, in the meantime, Brian's going to get Anticipate back at instant speed, cast it, and he's on his way here. It's only a matter of time before he starts playing the big stuff.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I mean, now you have to be terrified on the other side of the table.
He just resolved back-to-back Anticipate?
Yeah.
Yikes. And there it is, Crush of Tentacles. This is the turn that he played Anticipate, so Crush of Tentacles is being cast with Surge.
So he's getting an 8/8 token in addition to returning all non-lands back to their owner's hands.
And you can see some of the synergies that Brian has built into this deck. You saw what you mentioned earlier, which was the Den Protector going back to his hand that he can then recast face down and run that whole thing back again. And he also picked up, and this is cool, an Oath of Nissa. And, it's weird because we think of it as like this sort of ponder type effect, but it's a permanent. It stays on the battlefield. And when it comes back to your hand, you can recast it. And you get that effect again, and he's just getting card selection,
Yeah.
And in the meantime, hi, I'm an 8/8.
Yeah.
Like, he has lethal.
He's also getting a Planeswalker here.
Mm-hmm.
And he's also recasting that Oath. And what happens if his opponent is able to deal with all of this? Well, then he gets to Den Protector and just do it all again.
Well, unfortunately for Brian, went with the transformability on the stack there for Nissa, it got Kozilek's returned out of here. So he'll have to just settle for an Octopus.
Well, he can recast his Oath, too.
Fair enough.
He may want to save that Oath, though, to turn on Surge.
Okay.
It's a very cheap and efficient way to do that.
In the meantime, Grapple with the Past has found an Emrakul. Can he actually cast it? He would need 7 types unless he has a land here. I'm assuming that he does have a land. Does he have 6 different types in his yard? No, he has more than that. All right, so
he must
here's
have 7.
Emrakul.
A Pilgrim's Eye helps a lot. And he has Vessel of Nascency, Liliana, and Pilgrim's Eye. That's a lot right there.
That's 4 of them right there, plus the sorcery, plus the land. And I'm sure he's got an instant in there somewhere as well. So here it is. Emrakul, the Promised End, has hit the battlefield for Christian Keith. And what can he do? Right now, he's controlling Brian Weller-Gordon's hand. Both of these players are sitting at 7-0. Green-blue crush, huh? I might be very happy about this. I like this deck. Looks like he's going to have him cast Oath of Nissa here.
He's going to fail to find, I assume.
It does say you may reveal. He's going to choose not to. So that just wastes that card. Another way to waste a card is to play a Den Protector face up, in which case he's not going to get a card back. And, of course, he's going to attack with the 8/8 token and have Big Mama Emrakul just nom that thing up. Calamari's on the menu.
I mean, he could also have played the Den Protector face down, flipped it up, gotten Explosive Vegetation, and then cast Explosive Vegetation. Failed to find, but just looked through Brian's deck, which might have been... It's more dangerous because it gives him a bear creature, but I don't know. It's interesting.
Please report to the blue gathering point. Booster draft number 64.
In the meantime, Emrakul jams here, and that's going to knock Brian down to 7, and he does not have a lot of time to find something. And he doesn't find anything, and Christian Keith calmly, coolly, collectedly takes down Brian Weller-Gordon in the first game. So he's going to go up a game. He doesn't look too bothered about it. In fact, neither of them do.
And neither of them seem too worried. I'm sure Brian there is a bit frustrated that he was unable to draw apart the Water Veil. I think that's kind of how he's supposed to go bigger than these other decks.
Now, this is interesting, though, because, one of the things you said, Jake, leading in was that Brian would go over the top of everybody.
That's what I assumed would happen.
Christian played Emrakul, and Emrakul said, actually, I'm kind of the top right now.
Yeah, you're right.
So
and
we'll keep an eye on this story.
Proven wrong.
I'm curious to see how it goes.
I'm interested in this also.
Yeah. Apparently, Emrakul took a little exception.
Yeah, he was like, I don't know, Jake.
Jake, that's only 6 mana, bro.
Listen.
I'm 13 mana. All right, let's jump over here and see what Abzan Midrange in the hands of Richard Lee has up against Red Eldrazi and Robert Sanchez. What is going on here, Jake?
Oh, my goodness.
Paramatter Reshapers.
It's just whoa.
What?
Oblivion Sowers for days.
Literal all 4 Oblivion Sowers in here.
Every Oblivion Sower in the tournament
is
in his
of
hand.
ruin. Look at this deck. That's a ruin processor. And he just took it away.
Oh, I can't deal with that. I got to take this ruin processor.
Oh, man.
I mean, he probably did.
He totally
kind of awesome.
did. Wow, Robert really needs to find some lands here. I wonder if Richard's just going to bash him. I think Robert would be kind of happy to have his Matter Reshaper die just on the chance that he hits a land off the top of his library.
Yeah, I mean, even if he doesn't, he's more likely to draw one off the top.
Indeed. Well, everybody's in.
That's a lot of damage.
Everybody's in. It's actually lethal.
Yeah. I think that's 15. He's like got to block a certain way. Yeah, he goes to 1.
7 PM 4-pack sealed players. William Airman and
Sometimes that's how it works too. But he took a huge chunk of damage in that attack to Robert Sanchez, and he is now at 1. And he's got an Oblivion Sower, but that just doesn't look like it's going to be enough here, does it?
No, I mean, he's
tapped out, and he's facing 3 creatures. He's only got 2.
Oblivion Sower seems like it could be good in this format, though, for what it's worth.
I wonder if he, like the best, maybe not the best, but a good case would be, and I didn't see an announcement from him, though, is if he does have a Kozilek's Return in his yard, then things could get interesting. But I didn't see him point or dig around in his graveyard. So he's just going to trigger his Oblivion Sower, hit 1 land. And scoop him up. That's going to do it for Robert. I'm really curious to see this red Eldrazi deck, though, so hopefully we'll get a chance to get a little better feel for it. We didn't get a ton there.
That seems like a pretty cool strategy.
And let's zoom back to our main match here, where we've got Brian Weller-Gordon versus Christian Keith, and it looks like these gentlemen are...
Andrew Kessler and Ryan Erickson.
Looks like we're just about ready to get going again here. Things have gotten chatty down there. Let's take a look at a live look-in with Pascal Maynard and Jack Rosen. Interesting.
Jeskai Goggles? This standard format is not narrowing down and settling.
Agreed. Abzan control versus Jeskai Goggles.
Yeah, somebody's like hitting this metagame with a sledgehammer, and it's turning into tiny little pieces. They're falling everywhere. Which is what I like to call a very healthy metagame, when people can play all sorts of decks and have success with them.
Well, that's the question.
Yes, some people don't like that.
No. What I meant was the have success with them part. We don't know that part yet.
That's true. It's still early on.
Yeah. I mean, 6-1 is a very good start, so it looks like it to be good, but
yeah.
I'm curious. But
there are 15 rounds before we cut to a top 8.
Exactly.
We're not even halfway there.
Yeah, that day 2 metagame tells all about what happened today. We'll usually take the top 100 decks that make it to day 2 and kind of break those down.
All right, Chandra hitting the bin, getting rid of all of Pascal's creatures. Another Chandra coming down.
It looks like Chandra is going to send the minions over at Liliana there, and that is easily enough.
Chandra is such a good card, Chandra Flamecaller. It's a card that I thought was really undervalued by the community when it first was shown, but more and more, we've seen different tournaments where people just kind of shove that thing into different decks and then won them.
And she has definitely shown her quality. She is the type of card that people will stretch their mana base for, and that usually means very powerful.
Raph Levy won a Grand Prix with a deck that couldn't actually cast her unless it had Oath of Nissa.
Remember that
in play, and he was playing multiple copies of Chandra that he couldn't cast.
Okay, well let's head back to our main match here. Got to see the green-blue Crush of Tentacles deck.
Yeah, this is the deck we want to be watching here. Pretty cool. In the sideboard, he has a Deathmist Raptor package for some matchups.
Very nice.
Like
That's
that.
cool.
Yeah.
Love me an Elvish Visionary as well. Oh, this
Elvish Visionary is just the coolest skin
so
of school.
sweet. Yeah, the artwork on that card is just stunning. It really is. Have you ever just taken a minute? I mean, look at that. Somebody made that. It's beautiful.
It is beautiful.
In the meantime, players are basically setting things up here. You see a pair of Vessel of Nascency there from Christian. And yeah, take one. Elvish Visionary gets in.
Every single one of those points adds up. Ooh, and he did bring in the Deathmist Raptors here. You see one there.
You saw one in his hand?
I saw it on the bottom of his library
Bottom of his library.
when he
Interesting.
cast the explosive vegetation.
Do you think Christian saw it?
I hope not.
Hope not, too,
For
because
Brian's
that's
sake.
kind of interesting if he doesn't have to show it to them and they make it to game 3. I mean, Christian's on Jund. Like, he has a lot of removal, and that's the type of card that you could bring in where you're just like, yeah, whatever, kill him. I'm just going to get him back. I mean, that 1-2 punch with Den Protector is still very real. Lots of cards for Brian Weller Gordon. Lots of lands on the battlefield, and he even gets to have the first creature.
Nissa, again, showing up. We've seen so much Nissa Vastwitz here this weekend. And as a result, we've seen so much Nissa Sage Animist. She's been flipping a lot. And the thing about Nissa is, even when you don't flip Nissa, even when Nissa doesn't go to Planeswalker mode, that's a really powerful card. Your opponent often has to spend a card to deal with it, and then it already replaced itself. You end up ahead. I mean, that's how games of Magic are won.
Speaking of Nissa, here's Nissa's Pilgrimage from Weller Gordon.
It's got to be frustrating when somebody else goes on your pilgrimage.
I mean, it might be his. Pilgrimages are not first come, first served.
It's like a charity auction.
All right. Tons of mana. You can even get more. Is that a Blighted Woodland I see underneath those forests? Yes, it is.
Yeah.
Brian has a sweet landfall deck here somewhere as well.
Distant in Mindbender, I feel like, is very frustrating for Brian to play against. That's a card that I wasn't really thinking about in this matchup.
It really is. It's a huge pain for him.
Because, I mean, you start returning it to their hand, and then everything goes wrong.
We play it again.
I think that's one of the problems with this deck. I mean, sure, you can go bigger than other decks in that way, but if they start picking apart your hand, or if they're able to do that once, then that's it.
Ultimate Price is going to kill, of all things, an Elvish Visionary. And then Christian is going to start picking some brains here.
Ooh.
Let's see what he finds. Well, there's that Death Mist Raptor. There's also a Part the Water Veil in there. Is it safe to assume that Christian has Delirium? I don't think it is. He might have it, but
Grand Prix player
not.
Steve Sindel. Steve
Does look like he has it.
Please
Yeah.
report to the Grand Prix stage. Magic players, if you sign up for booster draft number 66.
This is really interesting because, I mean,
Booster draft number 66.
he doesn't know what Brian's deck does yet.
Magic players, the Chaos Box Seal round 1
He
is
must
now
have figured it
started.
out. He's going to exile Part the Water Veil, and it looks like he does have Delirium, so off we go. Get those out of here. Interesting choice. I mean, the Deathmist Raptor also could be an issue down the line, but he's going to take his big powerhouse play.
I think you have to take the Part the Waterfell. I think that's the way the Crush deck really can just destroy you when
Yeah.
you're this Jund Delirium strategy. Wow. Pick the brain.
Consider it done. That was a pretty brutal sweep there.
It's really brutal. I mean, the dream with Brian's deck is that you're chaining that card together. You're taking an extra turn and attacking them, and then taking an extra turn and attacking them, and then they're dead.
Yep.
Hard to chain those together when they're all exiled.
Yeah, that particular dream just went away. And he does other win conditions, but Not going to be winning through Part the Water Veil this time.
Jordan Cairns to the main event stage. Jordan Cairns to the main event stage.
Nissa is going to rumble. Drop Brian down to 18, and then Christian's going to pass the turn back before drawing his card. He's got that face-down morph creature.
You know, I mean, flipping that up, like, all he could really get is a Pilgrimage, a Vegetation, or another Visionary. He could also leave it face down to perhaps accrue some value with Death Mist Raptor.
Looks like he's going to wait for now. Getting an Elvish Visionary is not the end of the world either.
He could have played the Death Mist Raptor face down if he wanted to. Den Protector. Still so good.
Laura Montagna, your opponent is waiting for you at Chaos Fox Seal. Laura Montagna, your opponent is waiting.
All right, so we could be seeing Willamog here. I mean, there's still a lot that Brian Weller-Gordon's deck is capable of doing.
He's lining up a lot of lands here. Let's see what he wants to do. First Den Protector gets turned face up. And now he's going to go ahead and just get that Elvish Visionary and then play it.
So I think we're probably going to see a crush here.
You think this is him setting up for a Crush of Tentacles by getting the Surge online?
I would think so. I think that seems pretty reasonable.
I'll buy it. There's a Den Protector getting turned face up for Christian Keith now, so everybody's a little value for everyone. Christian deciding if he wants to get Pick the Brain or Ultimate Price.
Not gonna lie, Pick the Brain seems pretty good. I don't know.
It sure does, man.
Like it.
Like
it's
for the
hard
long
to not
term,
take that.
right?
Yeah, it's not. It's hard to not take Ultimate Price, but I can definitely see why he wanted to take Pick the Brain.
Yeah, you can see him hesitate there, but ultimately he decides to take the Ultimate Price, and Brian just passes the turn back. So
Ooh,
no
that's
crush
not
for
good
him.
for Brian.
Yeah, now Christian would really like to see that Pick the Brain. Though he probably realizes that Brian doesn't have a whole lot going on if he's just going to kind of calmly pass a turn after all that. All right, well, let's see what this vessel can find for Christian. It's a couple of Pilgrim's Eyes.
Yeah.
Sure.
And that's another body, and I mean he's creeping up. Gets him closer to Distended Mindbender. The thing is, you know, with cards like Gather the Pack and Vessel of Nascency, you find specific cards in your deck so quickly. So cards that are 2-ofs, 1-ofs in your deck. Suddenly those cards are cards that you see most games that go after like turn 6 or 7.
Yeah, you're tearing through your library pretty quickly. And here is an Ashaya token being created by Christian. Good turn for him. And Brian really just wanting to find some of his big action spells up the top. We know that he's had the Part the Water Veils taken away, so that's one that he will not be able to draw. The Death Mist Raptor, which of course has Death Touch, is going to just attack, probably attacking Nissa. And Christian's just going to actually trade off here, which I think is something that Brian is quite happy to do.
Yeah, especially now.
Especially now that he's got another face-down morph. Now, that could be a Den Protector, but it also could be a Death Mist.
Mm-hmm.
Either way, he should be able to get back that Death Mist Raptor that's in the graveyard, which is nice. For free.
If it's another Den Protector, then
the loop has begun.
The loop could begin.
Grand Prix player Steve Signow.
Here's Elvish Grapple with the past.
We've seen Brian get to very large amounts of mana very quickly in both games. We haven't seen him have a Haymaker yet.
Yeah.
He was able to cast 1 Crush in one of these games, but you remember, he's playing 4 Crushes.
Yeah.
He's
3
playing
Parth the
Ulamog.
Water Veil. He's got an
Yeah.
Ulamog in there. This deck is definitely good at making mana. He just needs to find a place to put it. Translate that into a victory. Once again, Christian's he's going to ultimate price an Elvish Visionary.
And normally not really the thing you want to be doing, but
Well, you can see why.
yeah.
He's hitting up to the slaughter where he can for sure get this morph. Now, is it a Den Protector? Or is it a Death Mist Raptor? Looks like it's a Death Mist Raptor this time. Good enough. He'll get down another face down morph, and Brian's going to go ahead and sacrifice the bigger of the two, actually.
Seems good.
Oh, and a Void Shatter as well.
Able to get this Nis off the table.
Yeah, this is nice here. Nice work here from Brian Whaler-Gordon. He's chipping away at this board. Keeps hitting his land drops. You know,
I don't think he really wants to hit them at this point.
Yeah, I don't think so either. I think maybe, that's why I brought it up. He just keeps hitting them, but he's also kept Christian Keith from really getting ahead in this game.
I mean, he's gotten Christian to use a lot of removal spells on cards that have replaced themselves. He's got to feel okay. The problem is that this is the problem.
Here we go.
Before
Death
the
Mist Raptor comes back.
Before the match, I was thinking that Brian Weller-Gordon goes bigger than anybody, and that's why he's doing so well this weekend.
Mm-hmm.
And I was proven wrong. Emrakul is the biggest thing you can be doing, apparently.
Yeah, Christian Keith agrees with you because here we go. Playing Emrakul, and let's take a turn of yours. There's a Skyline Cascade on the top there for Brian.
It's interesting, though. I mean, he doesn't get that much value.
Lumbering Falls.
Well, he gets to kill the Lumbering Falls, I suppose.
Yeah, he decided to kill his Pilgrim's Eye as well.
I think main reason being that he wants to play the Cascade, keep the Death Mist Raptor tapped.
The Cascade Bluff. Okay. That makes sense. An island in hand is all that Brian has. And there's a big attack plus, and this is renewal.
It's a lot of life.
The Death Touch on these Death Mist Raptors doing a good job of powering through Emrakul here.
Yeah. It's not that much life. 13 plus 13. Still more than 25. 25, basically the same as 14 here.
Indeed.
Yeah, so the Cascade, I think, is actually only the opponent's creatures, so didn't work out. He just threw away a Pilgrim's Eye.
Indeed.
But since it's easy to misread, I just did it.
Yeah, it's one of those ones that like nobody plays that card in Standard, so it's a tough thing to pop up, and boom, Emrakul right over the top.
The promised end is the promised end.
I mean, Brian was able to enact decent chunks of his game plan in both Game 1 and Game 2. He resolved some pretty sweet stuff, and Emrakul showed up and just ruined his day.
For what it's worth, he did not get the Part the Waterfell chain, which
Sure.
is supposed to be the the marquee thing in these matchups.
Fair enough.
He did, however, do some cool stuff. There was no Ulamog, there was no Part the Water Veil, but he Crush of Tentacled for a lot of value in Game 1.
He crushed with an 8-8.
know,
And
in
then
Game
the
2,
8-8 got crushed.
he had a double Death Mist Raptor loop going. And it wasn't enough. Emrakul just killed him. Was Metallica ever really great, though? Come on.
Oh, whoa. I'll tell you what, buddy, I'm not touching that.
Yeah, let's not touch that.
Yeah.
Forget I said anything.
Yeah.
All right, let's jump into...
I'll forget for you, but... Well, this is sometimes what it's like to just jump in on another match.
Yeah, so
But
this is happening.
We do have life totals, so take a look at this. It's 34 per Pascal, and Jack Rosen is at 2.
I don't hate Jack's spot, though.
But he does have a Pyromancer's Goggles and 2 Fever Visions going. He also has plenty of lands to go with that Dragon Master Outcast and a Jace. Plus, you can see he's already produced 1 Dragon token. But he is barely hanging on. Pascal needs to just find a way to push through 2 more points of damage, but that is going to be very difficult.
Especially, I mean, with the...
Every turn, it just gets worse.
Yeah, because he's copying spells, and he's just going to have a steady stream of things to do because he's got a pair of Fever Visions in play. And if Pascal finds the key cards that could actually break through this Voltron he's created, then I'm sure he's playing some semblance of counter magic.
Yeah, he only needs to break through once. Like, Jeskai Goggles deck looks kind of cool, though.
Yeah, I'm a fan.
I'm digging it.
This is my kind of deck. This is, we're just going to go directly to the drawing board. I don't want a template.
So nothing's happened since we've gotten here, by the way. I do not know whose turn it is. I would assume it's Jack's based on the fact that Pascal's tapped out here.
No, it could be Pascal's also. He's the one.
Like, he could have just played a
Pointing
couple of
things.
things, and now he's deciding, okay, can I actually attack? I look like he has any attacks here, does it?
He could want to attack with the Gnarlwood Dryad, I suppose.
Trade off Ashaya for a dragon. How many cards does Jack have in his hand? That's the question I'd be asking if I was Pascal.
So he has some.
All right, we are on Jack's turn. We just had a plus on Jace targeting the Dryad there. Still, he needs every bit he can get. You can see that there's a Shambling Vent for Pascal Maynard. That's lethal. Everything's lethal.
Everything's lethal, yeah. But the only thing that's not lethal is if he exiles Pascal's graveyard. The Dryad is not lethal for like a turn.
No, it still is lethal. Right? Because
Well, I'm
he's got
saying
an
if he.
emblem.
Oh, yeah, he has the Kydian emblem.
Yeah.
So no matter what,
Yeah,
everything's lethal.
It's just lethal. Though Jace has whittled that Dryad down to not lethal for the turn here, as it said. So.
Well, I think it has Delirium, so I think it is still lethal here. Is this?
It becomes a 3/3. Jace gives it -2, right?
Yeah, and then it has the emblem.
Okay. Can he actually kill him?
I don't know. Probably not.
No, he's going to try it.
I mean, you got to try.
Well, because the thing is that if Jack doesn't have anything here, this works out quite nicely for Pascal, because it means that the outcast ends up going away. He has to chump with it. But How about Lightning Axe ×2?
Yeah, I mean, it's like
I mean,
it's a 6 mana deal 5, which just becomes amazing
Yeah.
because he's goggling it.
and that has to be game, right? Like, how the heck does Pascal beat an active Dragon Master Outcast? He doesn't have the ability to get in for, I'm going to put this in air quotes, but direct damage in his colors, right? Like in his deck. He has to just assemble enough lethal creatures to get by. In the meantime, Jack just 2-for-1'd him and has an active Jace and has a Dragon Master Outcast just spewing out dragon tokens here. Like, how in the heck is Pascal supposed to get through this? I guess if he played some type of sweeper, that could do it. He is playing an Abzan control deck. He could just wipe the board and then clean up with a a creature land, and just kill him that way.
Maybe go wide by playing like multiple copies of Ishkana,
There you go.
something like that.
There you go. I like the
That
way you're
could work.
thinking. All right, and that
Now he
helps for
doesn't-
sure.
Yeah, now he only needs one
All right,
copy.
now
really.
the win looks a lot closer. Do you have Pascal's deck list over there by
I
chance?
have Pascal's deck list. We do not have the other deck list, however.
Can I look at Pascal's real quick? I'm curious. There's a couple of cards I want to see. I want to look for. Let's take a look here. This is game 2, so we don't know for sure, but
The other thing is
you know,
that
he does. I was wondering this. He's got a Sorin Grim Nemesis in his list as well.
yeah, and he also has Emrakul, so he could presumably cast one of Jack's burn spells on Jack.
All right. Well,
Right?
so Pascal has this locked up then, right? That's what we've.
I don't know.
That's a little too strong. All right. All right. The haymakers don't stop here. Here's Jack Rosen now playing yet another Planeswalker. This is a Chandra.
This is kind of getting absurd.
Kind of doing it, yeah. It is really funny, though, that his life total's so low and that, Chandra and cards like this don't block. He needs to use them to leverage board advantage right now as much as possible.
So using
He just needs a sweeper, right? Oh, here's duress, though, for Maynard. Is this going to prompt any action here from Jack?
I would assume at least some, right?
Dispel. Sorry. Negate is what I mean, right? Isn't that a negate up there? Do you see
Yes,
it?
it's a negate.
Negate. But unfortunately for Jack, Pascal had another duress in his hand.
He saved these up nicely.
Now he's
Or he
probably
might have
just
gotten
drawn a
both of
bunch
them because he's got double fever visions on the other side of the table.
He's drawing 100 cards per turn. Look at all those lands for Maynard. And he's going to use a lightning axe to go ahead and kill that Den Protector, but it does look as if this let me pause here for a second. Okay, well, I'm going to assume that Pascal won, but that got very, very weird at the end. There was an Ishkana. It looked like it resolved, and then Jack, I think, was saying, okay, I guess I'm dead.
Oh, did
Or
he have enough mana to Ishkana and activate Ishkana?
That could have been it, too. There you go.
I mean,
That-
it was at the stage of the game where
No,
that
you're right.
wouldn't be crazy to me. Like, that's
a
just
great
12
call,
mana.
Jake. Yeah, just bang, kill ya.
Yeah. You've been wanting it to happen, the Ishkana activation.
He didn't tap his mana for it. It doesn't count.
I mean, his opponent saw it coming and conceded.
Yeah.
That counts.
Let's take a look at A.O. Paquette versus Brandon Fisher here. A.O., a fantastic player
Yeah.
from just north of where we're at, just in Vancouver. He lives in Vancouver, Canada. About
Didn't he win
5 hours
Grand Prix
north.
Vancouver?
the thing is,
recently?
AO has not
Couple
played
years?
a ton of traveling style Magic tournaments.
Yeah.
I think he's played in 6 Pro Tours, and he has crushed. He is really good. Like, this is
That's
the
what
type
I
of
hear.
this is the type of player that if you're a local like I am, to the Pacific Northwest,
Yeah.
this is the guy you don't want to sit down across from in the top 8 of a PTQ. Like, you're like, oh, he seems like a nice guy, and he is. and then he just dismantles you, and you're like, what happened? Who is this guy? You know, and you Google, you know, I mean, he has a lot of respect from players on the Pro Tour as well, as somebody who gets it, you know, even though he hasn't, you know, been the full-time dedicated Magic Pro ever. Like, that's never been his number one thing, at least as far as I know. I think he's played in 6 Pro Tours, but
That's a good amount of experience, though, playing on a high level.
it's all right.
Eh.
I think most of them were about 10 years ago.
Oh, well.
Doesn't seem to bother him much, though, I'll tell you that. That guy can just flat out play. This is round 8 today on day 1. We've got one more round to go after this. Then we'll call it a day here from Portland, and we'll see you guys back in the morning as we wind our way into day 2 tomorrow. But again, we're going to finish up here, and then we've got a whole nother round to bring you. That's going to be the one and only Brian David Marshall with Reed Duke.
Reed Duke coming off a Pro Tour top 8. Pretty awesome that we have him here this weekend working with us.
Agreed.
Finally, red mana there for A.O. Paquette.
Saw that.
Not that, you know, he even really needs red mana. He just, I think the red mostly in his deck is so that he can get the trigger off the Kozilek's return and occasionally cast it.
Well, he looks pretty behind here. I'm going to let this one come to a conclusion because I want to see what happens in that other match.
Yeah, I'm definitely more interested in what's going on.
I also want to be able to follow it along from the beginning because you know how these things can get, right? I mean, they just get weird when you come in the middle and the players are talking a lot, and like we're sitting here like there was a win there. It was Pascal, but it wasn't entirely obvious exactly what he did. I think you were right, though. I think he just played Ishkanana. It's like, activate this, you're dead. Oh, no. Take a look at Pascal's hand here, Jake. There are no more lands in that hand. He is dead. He has just
and it's
played
not even a forest. Oh, yeah.
I mean, I'm not. I
It looks
shouldn't
like he
say that.
mulliganed
He's
a
not
lot
dead, but
for what it's worth.
I don't know if he did.
Fevered Visions helps him find lands.
It might, but it doesn't work this turn.
Yeah, and he's got a lot of cards in his hand to get
he's discarding.
destroyed by this Fevered Visions.
Right, that's the problem, too, is that it might help him find an extra land, which, by the way, it didn't there. Ouch. Yeah, he kept a
that's
one-lander
brutal.
here, and this thing is going to decimate him. You know, he kept one land Duress. Duress his opponent. I can't see what he took because it's the bottom of the library, and that was it. Oh, no. Oh, no, Jake.
Ooh.
Jake, turn your head away. If your
I'm
child
too
is
young
at
to
home
see
watching,
this.
you know, to see Daddy on the stream, tell her
Yeah.
it's time to turn it off, honey. You don't want to see this. It looks like Pascal's given up on everything here because he actually has now discarded 3 cards. He still couldn't find a land with his draw step. He found one with the Fevered Visions, but obviously that's too late to play it, and Pascal has to pack it in. Hey, Jack Rosen will take it. He gets a bit of a gift there, I must be said. You know, Pascal kept the one-lander with the Duress, hoping that would keep any, you know, super scary things off while he found some mana, and he never did. Dies with one land on the battlefield. Standard's rough, man. You
get
skip
punished.
a turn and you get punished. If you just don't play for 2 turns, forget about it. So that leaves us back in that same game that we were watching before with A.O. Paquette, looking a bit behind here to Brandon Fisher, who's got a pretty nice board state going against Paquette, who's at 5.
Oof. And this may be it. This may be the penultimate turn right here. I think Brandon Fisher's going to get to untap, and he has a creature land here with Hissing Quagmire.
But it does look like Brandon Fisher was the one who won that.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
He gets to, like, Ao's turn was the second to last turn of the game. He tapped all his mana.
Yep.
There were 4 attackers. He was only at 5.
And that signals the old GG. So A.O. Paquette's going to pick up a loss here. Brandon is going to keep a pretty nice record there. And that will do it for round 8 here from Portland.
So
test drive the top standard decks from Pro Tour Eldritch Moon in the Pro Tour Gauntlet, happening now on Magic Online. For more information, visit mtgo.com. Friday Night Magic is your local hangout where everyone is welcome. Gather with friends at your favorite game store every Friday night. For more info, visit magic.wizards.com/FNM.
Welcome back to